I started realizing, well, where would Satan hide this light that I saw in LSD? Well, he would hide it in space, but eventually we'd find it. He would hide it at the bottom of the sea. Eventually we'd find it. He could hide it anywhere in the earth or space, and we'd eventually find it because we launch things in space, go travel. We're intuitive creatures.
Mm,
But if you hid it within ourselves, that would be the last place we would look. You know what I mean?
mm. Welcome to another episode of the Your Mate Tom podcast. This is episode 23. We've got a classic guest, CGKid, who's an awesome friend of mine, and he's a drug educator on YouTube. Talks about his subjective experiences with certain drugs and psychedelics, and also speaks about mental health, drug addiction, and man, he's just an all-around awesome dude, and I think he's doing a lot of good for the world. So please support him. Go on his YouTube channel. You can also check out our conversation we had on his podcast. But yeah, man, apart from that, feel free to check out Spotify and iTunes, where you can also find the Your Mate Tom podcast. Yeah, feel free to give us a 5-star review. It really does help out. And I'm definitely going to get more into these podcasts. We've got a few more guests in the lineup. Please feel free to check out my website, Your Mate Tom. You can sign up to our email list. And this is the best way to stay in direct communication and find out about like exclusive offers, future events, and special releases and things like that. Because, you know, YouTube isn't exactly reliable. I had a video deleted the other day, so it's just, yeah, it's hard to say where this is going to go. Maybe everything's going to turn out okay, but just in case, check out my website. And of course, if you've received any value from my channel or these podcasts, then feel free to become a monthly supporter on Patreon. Your generous donations really do help a lot, and even as little as $5 a month makes all the difference. Enjoy the podcast. Hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. I also want to give a shout out to my good friend Jason Stevenson, who does awesome free guided meditations. Go check out the description box below, click the link, and I'll see you on the other side. Peace. Alright guys, so we're live in quarantine zone with my mate CGKid. What's going on?
What's up, man?
Yeah,
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm just like chilling. It's going pretty crazy, man. People are like going nuts with toilet paper, so it's a bit of an apocalypse.
Yeah, they ran out of condoms where I go.
Did you?
And I'm like, dude, social distancing, people. I had to order mine on Amazon. I'm about to quarantine and chill. I'm looking for a lucky lady to hopefully repopulate the ginger species in case we go extinct. So I've been on Tinder, just basically like, anybody want to quarantine and chill and like repopulate gingers?
I've
That's my
heard
Tinder profile.
Is that true or is that a myth? Because I've heard that the ginger species are like decreasing, or is that just bullshit?
They're decreasing, man. I think it's gonna wipe us out.
Is it
So I'm gonna
really?
breed with somebody. I'm gonna find some. Yeah, I need to find some
Wow.
selective breeding, produce the coronials. You know.
So like in 1,000 years, you guys are going to be considered like the extinct dodo bird or some shit.
We're gonna be the dodo bird or unicorn. It depends on where you want to go with it.
I was actually going to say unicorn. But yeah, man, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
How are things going
yeah.
over there though? Like, are people calm or going crazy, panicking?
Everybody's freak. A lot of people are freaking out. I
How
feel like this whole thing is like bringing out the best in people and the worst in people. It kind of depends on who you are, you know.
mm, how are you feeling? Are you
I
panicking? Are
feel
you calm as a
perfectly.
cucumber?
I feel perfectly fine. I sometimes get angry when I see like stupidity. Like I was at Walmart the other day, which I never go to, and it was like everything good is sold out. Everything you're left with like a can of beans that's like $15, and I'm like, God damn it! And just
Damn.
like the stupidity of people, you know. Like sometimes I get angry, but other than that, I've been really calm.
Yeah, it kind of like worries me of something like how people freak out over a situation like this, and it makes me think like, man, what happened if like something this is serious, but I mean like really serious, like war breaks out or something like really intense, how would people react? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, when you look in the past of like World War II, Vietnam War, it was like, people, I think initially they freak out, but I think over the long run we come together. I think
Mm,
that a lot of good has actually come out of this because it forces people out of their comfort zone.
yeah.
Like you can't really awaken in your comfort zone. I feel like we've been living in a comfort zone for so long that a lot of people aren't really are given the opportunity where they're put in a situation where they have to awaken. Like the only way to be comfortable right now is not to live on the surface.
Mm,
It's the only way is to live in a deeper place, like some call it the spirit or consciousness or whatever, the awareness or and I was going through addiction and I got so depressed I had to find that place before this happened to
mm.
get through my depression. So I think that's why I'm facing this adversity a lot easier than I would have like a year ago.
Yeah, you went through
Uh,
training beforehand.
yeah,
Prepare you for
yeah, my
something like
recovery.
this. Yeah, because
Yeah,
even
yeah.
like myself, I'm pretty calm about it. Like I'm not freaking out. So, well, because man, like just not too long ago, I came from Chile, which is there is an actual war zone over there. Like people going on full out war with cops, and there's tear gas and people getting killed and eyes taken out and rubble
Mhm.
everywhere, graffiti of like kill cops. Like it was fucking intense. So like coming from that to this, it's pretty calm. Um,
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Like I was talking to you before, it's pretty lucky that I live in Australia and you live in the US. We've got a lot of resources, so things are going to be okay as long as people don't overly freak out. But in Chile, man, because of this virus, man, I've heard that there've been a lot of armed robbery from supermarkets, small businesses, people taking hostages. Like that's like when real shit hits the fan, you know. So I think we should be
Hmm.
very grateful that we live in a developed country. We got it easy here, you know.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And like you
For
said,
sure.
it's
I think
yeah.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people have these theories like it's biochemical warfare or it's caused by G5 technology or this, that, and the other. And to each their own. They can believe what they want. But like the way I'm seeing this situation is like Mother Nature's conscience, and it's trying to teach us a lesson. It's
Mm,
kind of like if anything, we as humans are the virus, and coronavirus is like the antibody from nature that's
mm,
basically like, because I mean, like if you look around, people aren't driving their cars as much, so they're giving like the environment a break, and we're
yeah.
becoming a lot more socially conscious as far as being aware of the homeless population and certain things like that, and we're kind of unified. I've noticed the dialogue like before on Facebook or whatever. It's like your friends would be like, "Fuck you, you support Trump. Fuck you, libtard," and it's like people were just so nasty to each other, but now it's like we have a common thing and we're kind of like given all these opportunities to help each other out in small ways.
Yeah, yeah, exact common enemy, man. Well,
Yeah.
there's a I can't cite the study, so forgive me, but I remember reading it somewhere that said that whenever there's a catastrophe like a natural disaster, mental health issues like depression, anxiety dramatically decrease because there's like a common purpose and you're forced to bond together in a community and you know what I mean, like do something. So it's like
Yeah.
you've got to focus. So I found that really interesting that in
Yeah.
times of great catastrophe, depression goes down because you have no time to be depressed. You got to do something, right? Your survival instinct
Yeah.
kicks up. So, and maybe when we're too comfortable, that's when things like that can manifest itself.
Yeah.
So I
It's like
found it
living on the
interesting.
surface. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's even now, like you said, like I think this is a going to have a long term positive effect for the most part
Hmm.
because I'm sure there's going to be some negatives like with everything in life, but it's putting our priorities in order. Even for myself, man, I'm thinking like shit, man. If all the supermarkets were to close down, what would I do? I don't have my own garden. I'm not growing my own fruit and vegetables and like what the fuck would we do if the system just collapsed like that? So it kind of makes you think and like fuck, I should plan for things like this. None of us were prepared,
Hmm.
man.
Yeah. Doomsday preppers. Their time has come.
Yeah,
I'm
they're
I'm learning how to
laughing.
like hunt squirrels.
I told you, motherfuckers.
I know. They're ready.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. But
For
fuck,
sure.
man.
I think it's cool how it's like it's bringing us all into our homes and it's interesting to me that people are so uncomfortable being with themselves. You
Mm.
know what I mean? And it's like it's kind of teaching us to be comfortable with ourselves. And I think that a lot of addiction in general is just distracting. It was distracting myself from being with myself. And it's all about distraction. It's like my thoughts would project into the future. This could happen. The economy could collapse. My mom could die. I could die. And think of
Mm.
all these scenarios as if they're real. And that's like why I was always uncomfortable being with myself, because with myself, with nothing to do, my mind would just race and create scenarios. So it's interesting to me that people are kind of forced in a situation where they have to work through that and realize that, our thoughts are, we are not our thoughts, and we actually can be aware of them, and we can actually stop thinking that way, but it takes practice and
Mm.
being with yourself. Like even when you're meditating or going on the meditation retreats, a lot of it is spent, with yourself, quiet,
Mm.
and looking within yourself to find something greater than your mind, which for me is like awareness.
It's like the practice of surrender, right? The art of surrendering.
Hmm.
That's why
Hmm.
you gotta die before you die. So that way, when things like this happen, you're untouchable. You're like, well, it's gonna happen anyway. Because some people,
Yeah,
dude, some people are fucking really, really freaking out, man. And it's not the virus that concerns me; it's people's reaction to the virus that concerns me. It's even,
absolutely.
yeah, it's even like you go to the supermarkets and like, man, people are like stocking up, and I'm like, Jesus, man, guys, you got to calm down. There's plenty of food. It's okay, but because other people are freaking out and stocking up, I'm like, shit, man, I'm gonna have to stock up now because of all the people who are freaked out. But
Hmm.
yeah, interesting times, man. This is definitely an interesting story, like part of the human story. So it's going to be interesting how this plays out. But it was a lot.
Hmm.
I am guilty of thinking that I thought that this was like not that serious, but yeah, this thing's escalating really quickly. So
It's serious, and
it is
it's.
serious, definitely.
I'm actually excited for the opportunity to walk through it. I see pain as not necessarily a bad thing. I kind of have a reverse psychology thing I do on myself.
Hmm.
There's like a saying like the ego weeps for what it lost while the spirit rejoices for what it's found.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, like pain, adversity, like grows us internally. It gives us inner strength. It's like if you assign meaning to pain, then it becomes less painful.
Hmm.
And I kind of had to live that way because I was battling depression for like 2 years and went through a relapse and all kinds of stuff. So I had to get to a point where I embrace the pain rather than run from it. And that's
Hmm.
like the key to my recovery from addiction, which for me is like a state of mind. It's like I said to you before, it's like just needing to distract myself from myself, not being comfortable with myself. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I would do that with TV. I'd watch a show and get enveloped in it, and it's like I'm so focused on that, I'm really just distracting myself. But it's like if the TV was off, the internet was gone, all these things are gone, all the distractions were gone. How would I feel? I would feel horrible. And
Hmm.
that's like what addiction is for me, and pain, losing things, losing the ability to distract myself is an opportunity to have inner strength. I learned a lot of that from Viktor Frankl. He was a guy who survived the Holocaust, and he came up with some called logotherapy, and he was talking about how Jews in the Holocaust found meaning, some form of meaning in the pain, and they were able to have inner triumph. They realized pain is a unique challenge to each and every individual. Only we could face it. We face it alone, and we could walk through it with integrity and honesty and come out the other end stronger. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Dude, that book was really profound. Man, Search for Meaning. For those who are interested, man, so
Mm-hmm.
good. That book really helped me while I was going through like a brutal existential crisis, and I'm thinking like, man, if this guy can come out the other side from the Holocaust, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. So I'm excited for the opportunity to walk through it. Is there some fear? Yes. Pain is never pleasant. But it's like I don't focus on that. I try to focus on what good can come out of this, because the fear is usually almost always projecting into the future. And currently right now, my mom isn't dying. I'm not dying. I'm not homeless. So I try to stay in the now, and I realize my mind will play tricks on me and go on this thing where it goes in there. That's where fear always comes from, for me at least,
Hmm.
is a projection. And then, in the moment when there's a fight or flight reflex, like something bad is actually happening right now, it makes sense to be afraid. That's the fight or flight. That's
Yeah.
like the brain protecting me. But it's important that I use my brain as a tool and don't let my brain use me like I'm a tool. You know what I mean? And who am I? I'm not my brain. I'm consciousness.
Mm.
It's like I could be aware of my thoughts, and the fact that I'm aware of them means what is aware. It's like if I say something in my head, I'm the one who speaks it and the one who hears it. So there's like a duality. I talk to myself in my head. And that duality is something I have to recognize that I'm not the voice in my head. I'm the one that hears the voice. And if I listen to my thoughts, I could be aware of them and I could start changing the way I think and feel. And I've been doing this practice for a long time, like with my relapse and shit. So this is like my recovery, and I was depressed for it was like 2 years. The last year it got really bad. When it got bad, it got horrible. And I tried everything. I tried psychiatry, therapy, going back to school, working a 12-step program, going to the gym, literally everything anybody could think of to deal with depression. I tried. I even went 30-day rehab program. Nothing worked. None of that worked until I got to the meditation is what really worked. But it was like mindfulness meditation. It wasn't like I used to think of meditation just being quiet in a dark room and closing your eyes and imagining a pretty place. And that helps me start and end my day. I do that. But meditation and mindfulness meditation is a throughout the day process of trying to be present. And whenever my
Mm.
thoughts trail off, it's grounding myself and saying, I don't need to think about what's going to happen, a year from now. I don't need to think about somebody else's problems. Like right now, I could just be. And I had to ground myself so many times throughout the day, but now it's becoming where I'm present way more often.
And
And
how do you ground yourself and be present? Is just like you focusing on your breath or like the situation in front of you, or like how do you go
so
about
like
that?
that's a good question. Like I'll be driving and I'll be thinking, man, I should have called so and so. Fuck. Like should I pull over and call him now? No, I'm not gonna call him. And then I start thinking, I wonder if he's mad. I wonder what he'll say. I wonder what my excuse is gonna be. I catch myself at some point and I just feel gravity. I feel my butt in the seat. I feel all senses, and I'm in the car driving and I'm like, feeling the air entering and leaving my lungs, maybe the breeze from rolling down the window, seeing all the seeing everything and looking at the grass and looking at the trees and the other cars and just being a part of. Sometimes I'll look around and be like, man, it's so crazy how everybody in these cars has like a story and an experience.
Mm.
And like it's like not assigning, like treating every experience as if it's something new. So not looking at grass as if I've seen it 1,000 times and think that's grass, but looking at it like, wow, this is crazy. So that's like being present is really about just being what are my senses, what is going on right now. And
Mm.
I've been practicing that for a while with this whole corona thing. That's like I'll catch my mind trailing off into, oh, I'm so mad about this, or I'm so mad this person said that. Then I catch myself and just ground myself. But I don't have to ground myself as much as I used to.
Yeah, you just find it
So,
more like an automatic response now.
yeah, I catch myself a lot easier when I start living in my mind. That's what the
Oh
mind
yeah.
does. The mind wants us, it's like a Velcro and it attaches to negative experiences. And it's like, it's crazy how the mind works. Like, there's a thought of, I could think right now, I'm hungry right now, and I'm talking to you. And like, you could be talking to me, and I'm thinking about where I'm going to go to eat or what I'm going to eat after this. And I'm thinking of all these different things. Like that's the mind. It's okay if it gives me the thought of I'm hungry right now, but then it's like Velcro. Like I attach myself to that thought and I have to plan out everything. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Like, are you gonna allow that thought into your house and serve it tea and food and fucking have a conversation
Yeah.
with it? Or are you just gonna
To
be
the
like,
point where I don't even hear anything you just told me.
yeah,
And then it's like, fuck, I was supposed to be listening. So even in this moment, it's a practice of staying present and listening to every word that you're saying. And that's so important to me.
yeah, definitely.
You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, it's like myself. Like, even like when you have like imaginative arguments in your mind, like, isn't that the stupidest thing you can do? Like, oh man, you
Yeah.
just have arguments and you're thinking like, man, I should have said this, and like, yeah, I fucking got him good. Like, you're thinking of these zingers that you could have, and you're patting yourself on the back, and
It's
you're just
crazy.
sometimes you
It's
spend like
crazy.
half an hour doing this shit, and it's like, dude, what the hell did I just do for the past hour? Such
It's
an
crazy.
yeah
I
waste of
think
time.
I think myself, like the reason I would think so much about the outside is I wanted to turn the outside world into a world I could control. It makes me feel comfortable because our mental world we feel like we can control, but the
Hmm.
outside world we have no control over. And I think people are afraid of uncertainty. And though what's been helping me a lot with that is like once I started being more present and accepting reality the way it is, it's like now reality is much more like a surprise than an uncertainty.
Hmm.
I listen to Alan Watts a lot, and I like what he said. He said, at the height of human innovation, we would create a machine where every button you get whatever you want, every pleasure, every experience, and you're there, and you have all eternity to play with all these buttons. And eventually, you're going to click a button that says surprise, and you're going to end up right where you are right now.
Hmm.
Because eventually you're just going to want something that's surprising, and that's kind of how the future seems for me. It seems like a surprise, and I think a lot of that is I don't uncertainty. It's like I want to put that uncertainty into my mind so I could turn it into a form of certainty, but it's still never certainty. You still never know what's going to
Hmm.
happen.
But
You know what I mean?
it doesn't even necessarily have to be a negative thing. Uncertainty could be something good. It's like watching a movie. Like, do you really want spoilers? Do you really want to know what happens, or do you want to go along the journey and see how it
Yeah,
unfolds? That's how I feel. Like,
yeah,
imagine if you knew everything that was going to happen. Imagine knowing the day that you're going to die. How much would that fuck with your mind for the rest of your life?
yeah. It'd be boring.
Yeah.
You raise a good point with movies. That's like a really good point, and it's interesting because I feel like I identified with my thoughts way too much before,
Hmm.
rather than observing them like a biological process. Like life is almost like a movie, and our awareness is watching all these senses and all these thoughts. But it's like in a movie when something scares me, it's not like I plan for that to happen.
Hmm.
I plan the outcome and I obsess all the time later. Or something really bad happens to a character, and it's like I'll get a little sad, but it's like it didn't happen to me. I don't identify with it, so I let go of it. But
Yeah.
it's like I identify with my thoughts too much because the truth is, I don't believe people are their thoughts, their emotions, their experiences, their perceptions. I believe humans are consciousness, and people are now, they're in the present, and everything is possible within them. But it's like when they think that their thoughts, they get way too attached to what they're thinking. They think because I think it, it must be true, and they get wrapped up. And this is, I feel like almost like the cause of all addictions, is that if you identify with your thoughts and you're wrapped in that mental world, eventually you're going to want to turn your mind off. That's what drugs do. They're numbing agents.
Hmm.
Like addictive drugs, one commonality between meth, opiates, alcohol, all those things is that they numb. They make people able to stop thinking. And there's another way, it's awareness. They always talk about power greater than ourselves in recovery meetings, and that always confused me. But really, what I believe it is just a power greater than my thoughts. What
Hmm.
is our? You have to have a clear conception of self, and our self is our thoughts and feelings. And what's a power greater? It's our awareness, because our awareness, if we're aware of our thoughts, like if I say hello in your head 5 times, you can make yourself do it because you're aware that I asked you to do that. So you, in the end of the day, control your thoughts. Now, if I told somebody to stop thinking for like 3 minutes and I'll give them $1 million, that would be very hard for them.
Hmm.
So then we start realizing that it's a practice to learn to stop thinking. But in the end of the day, our awareness does control our thoughts.
Exactly.
And
And the thoughts
just
never
like drugs,
really
yeah.
stop. It's just that you have to not attach yourself to it too much.
Yeah.
Or if you do
Yeah.
attach yourself to the thoughts, just again, like do it from a form of entertainment. It's like when I watch a movie, sometimes I will purposely attach myself to the character as if it's real, just so I can have that thrill of, so it feels real, you know what I mean? But I can always
Yeah.
unattach myself if I want to. That's kind of the
Yeah.
approach I have to my life. Because like
So
if
this
if
Corona,
your life is awesome, then there's nothing wrong with being attached to it at the moment, as long as you know that
exact.
it's temporary. You know.
Yeah, yeah, and this coronavirus is in a way, it's an amazing opportunity for people to look within themselves and find their awareness. Because they can't control what's going to happen. They could
Exactly.
plan for what they're going to do in the future, but we don't know the outcome of anything right now.
But
And
everything has purpose. It's like a movie, right? Like even when the main character is in a shitty situation, it's always for a purpose, for their character arc, for them to rise up to the challenge and work on whatever they need to work on. Like there's always a
hmm
purpose with everything. So I believe as well,
hmm
like you, that this is probably going to be for the best. Even China, man, apparently they can see this. I don't know if it's true or not. I haven't confirmed it, but I've heard that for the first time since they've shut down the factories, they can see the sky again for the first time in God knows how long. So that's
Yeah.
kind of good, right?
Yeah. I think it's for the best. I think it's good. I'm lucky. I had this awakening experience before all this went down, and it's a great opportunity to talk to other people that are struggling with their fears and not invalidate them. Just be there for them. It's something I can handle now.
Mm,
I can listen, and if they ask for my input, I could share my input just like I'm sharing it with you.
mm.
That I think people do, as much as like staying on top of the news and stuff. I do think it's entertainment. It's like watching a zombie film, but I think it is important for me personally to step away and to read or listen to Alan Watts or get into like some meditative stuff or more spiritual based stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's like the news right now, it's good, but it's like junk food. It has to be in moderation, because some people I think are just way too wrapped up in it, to take a break.
Fear porn.
And yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, I have to watch myself. Occasionally, I'll get too wrapped up in it, and I start feeling the anxiety kicking in, and then I'm like, okay, let's step back and listen to some Eckhart Tolle or something. I'm throwing out some names so people can look these guys
Yeah.
up, but they're really soothing, Or Terrence McKenna even has some great stuff on meditation and worry and fear and stuff, and it's great to listen to him as well.
Yeah, exactly. Listen to whoever you got to listen to, as long as they give you, positive feelings and
Yeah,
practical advice, which is even more important. Because it's not just about listening to a teacher who makes you feel good. It's got to be
yeah,
practical as well. Take action.
exactly.
Yeah, man. Do you reckon that the Corona beer would go up or down in sales since this?
Up,
Up?
totally.
Up? Totally?
Yeah. I think they showed it has actually a 5% increase in sales.
Oh, shit.
The Corona beer.
Maybe it's a
Everybody
conspiracy.
thought, yeah, dude, it's conspiracy, man. Corona made it. Yeah, man. So yeah, I mean, my recovery's been great.
Actually,
I tried
sorry,
LSD for the first time.
sorry to cut you off because I want to lead into
Yeah.
that, man, because I haven't talked to you since, man. So you went through a relapse. Do you want to like just go through that? What
Yeah.
triggered that, and how did you get through it? It seems like you're doing
Yeah.
great, so I'm happy for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the relapse, I would say I don't think my recovery was ever right. And there's no right way to recover. I just think it was inevitable. I was going to relapse. I look back, I was like sober 6.5 years. And when I look back on it, like when I got sober, really the drive was, I remember being like 23 years old. So this is like 7 years ago. And this is the day I got sober. And I really just thought that my life wasn't going to go anywhere on this path. I was
Right.
just like, I'm going to end up in prison. I'm going to end up dead. I'm going to end up a felon. I'm going to end up not being able to function or get a job. So that's like that was a big reason why I got sober. I just saw that it was progressively getting worse. Like when I was 23, I looked back because I started using at 17. I was like, 6 years ago it was not this bad. So what's it going to be like 6 years from now? Like it was a very logical thing. And when I got sober, I kind of based my sobriety around that. Like it was like I'm going to work hard. I'm going to accomplish things. And I did accomplish a lot. I got a degree. I got a good job. But it's like the more I accomplished, the more empty I started feeling. And I think the reason I felt more empty is because I got wrapped up into everything I was doing. So I got wrapped up into my drive, like with music or with school. And it was like my drive was what made me happy. And I would feel good whenever it's like I got the new job. But then it's like 3 months down the road, it's like I start to feel empty. Like this isn't good as it was. I got to find something else.
Hmm.
So then it's like I pick up a new hobby. Like I got into shooting guns, so I got pick up a new hobby, and it gets me excited. But then after a while, it kind of like loses its allure. YouTube was the same way. It's like my channel started growing. Oh, I was excited, but eventually it was like, oh yeah, this is just what I do now.
Hmm.
And it's like I was living on a very surface level, and it led to like severe depression. The more I accomplished, the more empty I felt, and because it was
Why do you
just
think
like
that is?
I got wrapped up into each thing, and the bigger the thing was, the more wrapped up into it I got. So the worse the come down. It's almost like the greater the high, the worse the come down.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
got high when I got a tech job that paid well. I went from being a 10 an hour cashier to making good money at a tech company.
yeah.
And I got high. And the thing is, the greater the high, the greater the fall. You know, becoming a YouTuber is a great high, but it's like
Yeah.
the greater the high, the greater. So the fall, eventually it got to a point. And also, it's like society has told me since I was young, if you accomplish a lot, you'll be happy. Like
Hmm.
that's what I've always believed. I believed, you know, you're told as a kid, the world's your oyster, go out, work hard. And if you get money, fame, have meaningful relationships, you'll be happy. And it's like, it got to a point where it's like I wasn't making that much money, but I had some notoriety, some money. I had some meaningful relationships and I wasn't happy. So it gets to a point of what's wrong with me. It's
Hmm.
because nothing worked anymore. Like nothing works. I basically had depleted the dopamine rush from accomplishing things to the point where, you know, I went back to the gym to get healthy, but it's like it's almost like you get a tolerance. Like it's as crazy as it sounds, you get a tolerance to success. To where
Hmm.
like, yeah, you lost a couple pounds and you're getting in better shape, but it's not as good as that time when you were blowing up on YouTube or you got that tech job, and
Hmm.
you get almost numb. And that's like addiction, because in a way I was always distracting myself by accomplishing things. And
Hmm.
so then I got severely depressed, like so bad that I just remember being in a room like full of trash where I had to walk over it, not being able to leave my room for 3 days. I was staring at a wall for 3 days, doing nothing. And it was like nothing could distract me from this misery. Like social media didn't work, nothing. It was severe depression. I felt this circle of hatred around me, almost like a mirror, and I hated myself. And I went on like that for a while, like a year. And even in my videos, I was still making videos, but I see it when I look back. Like if I watch them, it's like the long hair. You know, people are like,
Hmm.
that was not like a fashion statement. That was depression. And then the greasy hair, that was not hairstyling gel. That was not showering. You know, and
Hmm.
it's like I look back at it, I'm like, holy shit, like it got really bad. And I was out in the public, and I tried everything in this time. I tried, you know, therapy and going back to school. I thought, hey, maybe there's going to be an aha moment out of something, and nothing worked. It seemed like everything would fall apart. And then I even tried unhealthy things like sex or spending money. Sometimes like just saving money. Like nothing really worked. And then it got to a point where I was like, YouTube fully demonetized my channel, and this was like the triggering point. It was already gonna happen, but I was like, I couldn't think that night. I mean, I couldn't sleep
Wait,
because I was
when
thinking.
was this? Sorry to cut you off. I just want to.
It's
Yeah.
October 8th,
Okay, last year, I'm
and
assuming.
I
Yeah.
know I know that because I relapsed on October 9th.
Hmm.
Um, so it was a day after. That's why I
And you
knew that.
think that demonetization was like a trigger, sort of like the straw that broke the camel's back, or
Yeah, straw that broke the camel's back, a
yeah,
thin one,
a
because
thin,
it wouldn't
yeah.
have taken much, you know. And I was just laying up at night, like thinking, what am I gonna do for money? Like my whole life's gonna change.
Hmm.
It wasn't so much I was afraid of losing YouTube. I wasn't. It didn't make me that happy anymore. Nothing did. It was
And
much more.
why did they demonetize you?
They said I was promoting drugs,
Okay.
and then
And
like this whole
did that get
Twitter
fixed
rape.
though? I'm
It
assuming it
it,
got
it
fixed. Yeah.
it got fixed like 3 days later after I relapsed, but I couldn't sleep, and I was already having problems with obsession. So like even in this year when I was depressed, I was always worried about something. I would always think like, you know, somebody's gonna find out something I said on social media and they're gonna start a cancel culture movement against me.
Right.
Or I was always worried about, you know, my channel getting banned or something bad happening, or just worried in general. I was worried I would never be successful. I was
Hmm.
worried that I really, you know, screwed up. And so I always thought too much and I couldn't sleep very well. And that was part of my depression. But whenever I was demonetized, I just couldn't stop thinking. And I thought, man, if I could just smoke some weed, I could go to sleep. That was like literally it. And I thought, I'll use this as a tool to get through this. And then, you know, it wasn't a logical decision because I needed to find a job at that point in my mind. But, and, you know, they drug test, but I was basically like looking for a way out of my thoughts. And then, so I started smoking weed, and that just, I went to California. I ended up, weed's legal there. So I ended up like boofing freaking edibles, like
Oh,
going nuts with the
high potent stuff, I
shit.
assume as well, right?
Yeah. Like boofing edibles on the beach, freaking THC,
It's
chaps.
ew. Yeah.
nonstop. I spent so much money on weed out there. And then when I came back, it was like I had full blown withdrawal.
Mm.
So then I went to a doctor and said I was anxious and got prescribed Valium. So then I was popping Valium left and right. And I had
Oh shit.
finals coming up for school, so I just rationalized it. I knew I couldn't keep using, but I was like, I can't withdraw and study for finals. So I was like, let me get Valium for the anxiety. Everything had a justification. Then I'm taking Valium for the anxiety, and I'm like, well, I need something to help me sleep, and weed's not doing it anymore. Because I took Valium thinking it will help me get off weed, but I ended up smoking weed again anyways. Like
Right.
the insanity looking back, none of it made any sense. But then it's like, now it's like, well, weed doesn't make me sleep anymore. Now I need liquor. So then I started drinking liquor like crazy. It got to where I was taking like 40 milligrams of Valium a day and drinking about a fifth of Jack Daniels at night
Damn.
every, and I was smoking weed the whole time. And then it got to where I took Adderall to help me study. And then I ended up jerking off for like 8 hours. And
Oh,
yeah, and the messed up
brutal.
thing is I was at my mom's house at the time, and I didn't drive home because I didn't want the Adderall to wear off, and she don't have locks in her bathroom. So I was like, well, how am I gonna watch porn here? And I don't want to waste 30 minutes driving home. So then I go in the bathroom and just turn on the bathtub, and I have it drizzling, and I have like porn on the laptop, and I'm like paying for webcam girls and shit. Well, knowing that, I mean, my mom was like, he's in the bath, so I was like, hopefully she didn't just barge in, but there's no locks, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For a certain way, and I'm going at it. It's like so embarrassing right now looking back. Like, and then I was like, well, that was fun. So the second time I took Adderall, there was no justification. It was purely I'm getting high. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
met a girl and had sex with her for like 7 hours. And then
Wow.
at some point, I
Impressive.
realized I wasn't studying and I was gonna have to stop using regardless. So I just stopped, and I was sober for about 6 weeks. I had the worst withdrawal ever. It's like benzo, alcohol, and weed at the same time. Having
Wow.
hallucinations. I thought people were like in the attic of like an apartment. like, like
That's crazy combination, man. Yeah. I've never done benzos or I think I take Valium once. Never taken Ritalin, so
yeah.
but yeah, man, that's crazy combination. So it was just like a downward spiral, just that one smoking that joint was just open the doors and you're like, yeah, fuck it, I'm here now. Might as well keep
Yeah,
going.
because well, weed withdrawals were real for me, and it's bad. And then weed, it changes who I am.
Yeah.
Like having over 6.5 years, I could tell you unequivocally, it's not just the withdrawal. Like when I'm smoking every day, I'm not the same person.
No, of course
I'm not
not. You're changing your chemistry, you're gonna act and think differently.
even with the tolerance.
Yeah.
Even, I'm not even getting high on it anymore. I'm not this. That's the scariest part for me about weed.
Mm. It's a sneaky one. It's a like a ninja addiction. It just kind of sneaks up on you because you think you can get away with smoking a lot, and that's when it
Yeah,
gets you. Yeah.
it's just so weird because like I'm vaping right now. I mean, I quit nicotine, and when I
Mhm.
quit nicotine, not much of my personality really changed. Like when I vape every day, I'm still me. I'm gonna say it, but when I smoke weed every day, because with vaping you get a tolerance, and with the tolerance, I'm still the same person to an extent. I mean, there's got to be some difference, but with weed, I completely change. My
Mm.
decisions change, the way I process reality, my ability to socialize changes, everything changes. And then when I come
Mm.
off it, the withdrawal is just so bad for me. And this time was worse than any other time.
But yeah, weed's a lot more potent than nicotine. Nicotine is one of the very few drugs that I enjoy. I don't have it through cigarettes or anything like that. Like, I don't know if you smoke like mapacho, which is a Amazonian tobacco, which has like zero chemicals, but it has 10 times the amount of nicotine. But I love it,
Is
man. Like in that culture, they consider tobacco to be like the master of master plant teachers. You know, it's
mm,
just that Western culture has hijacked cigarettes, put God knows how many chemicals in it, and then it's
hmm
like it made it really bad for us. But I'm not saying that tobacco is, or nicotine is good for you, but it's one of the drugs now that I can enjoy and I don't get addicted to it. Contrary
mm.
to belief, even though people will say nicotine is more addictive than weed, but for me personally, that is definitely not the case. Weed is a million times more addictive than
That's how it
nicotine.
is for me. That's
For
how it
me,
is
for me. So before people go crazy
yeah,
listening, how dare
absolutely.
you? Blah 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 blah. It's like,
Well, weed
relax.
changes my consciousness a lot more.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
for
yeah.
me, it's like
Exactly.
I go into it thinking I'm just going to smoke a couple nights. And I remember the first night I woke up in the morning and I smoked. The first thing I did was smoke.
Mm.
So I went back on that decision. And I believe it's because my consciousness was already starting to change,
Mm.
and I was like, wow, that helped me sleep. Well, I want to sleep again. And then I wake up from that. I want to sleep again. And it's like I fall into weed so fast. When I went back into nicotine, it's like, it was much more of a job to get back into it than it was
Yeah.
with weed. Weed is something I just like fall into like so gracefully, and I'm just like, take me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Weed's a lot more enjoyable than smoking like a cigar, for
Yeah,
example. It's tough to get through an entire cigar without
yeah,
being
yeah,
like, all right, fuck, I've had enough, man. You know, you can get turned off it a lot quicker.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and then the Valium, alcohol, and I did DXM, and I shat my pants because I took like way too much.
Mm.
I don't. I don't remember the exact amount. It was definitely over 1,000 milligrams. I couldn't even move. But so then I had 6 weeks of sobriety, but I was still depressed. And then I
Right.
had a moment where I was like, they call it suicidal ideation. It was much more of like, it wasn't like a desire to kill myself, but it was like it was like, I don't care. I thought I tried everything. I tried drugs. I tried psychiatry. I tried therapy. I tried it all. And I thought the only thing I haven't tried is ending my own life. And that's like where the idea kind of came in. And that's when I realized I had a problem and needed help. So when I went to rehab, I went to a mental health facility, not a drug addiction rehab, because like staying sober those 6 weeks, it wasn't hard for me at all.
Mm.
Um, it wasn't like I was craving using. I was craving just not to be depressed anymore. And I saw that drugs don't work. Like I fell apart. So in that
Mm.
time, I was using benzos and alcohol. It's like failing all my classes, just being a mess, like laying in bed, basically having like a vegetable.
Mm.
And so then I was like, well, that didn't work. Nothing works. I went to rehab. I got out of rehab, and I was like, well, rehab didn't work. I was okay while I was in rehab, but when I got back, I was just depressed. It's like rehab creates this environment for you that you're socially connected, you have things to do, you have a purpose. Like it's great that they create that environment for you, and a lot of times they have like aftercare plans, but once you get home, it's like you're back in that isolated darkness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that could be
So,
the toughest phase, right? The integration going back home.
oh yeah, and then I was going to, support group meetings, but I was still really depressed, and that's when I made a video. I already knew I was gonna make it. When I was in rehab, I already decided that I was gonna tell my audience. Like I
Yeah.
lied in a couple of videos, and when I realized I was gonna tell them was before I went to rehab, when I was in that suicidal ideation place, because I was like, that it felt like a tidal wave. Like that was just way too much to handle,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to tell 500,000 people. Like it's easy for me to talk about my past, but to talk about where I'm at, especially when I'm already depressed and anxious.
Tell me
um
about it. So, would you say the pressure was a significant factor of like people looking up to you as this mental health, drug addiction expert? Like,
It was just it was not so much that, it was just the vulnerability, the making
mm,
myself that vulnerable. It was not just being honest with the people that watch me that I never met, but it was being honest with my old coworkers, my old boss, all my
mm,
friends, my mom, my dad, my whole family, all at once. It was being honest with everybody. People have recognized me on the street, and it's like being honest with them too.
yeah,
Like I was in rehab, and a couple times people approached me to get a picture with me when we had outings, and I was like, imagine being honest with that many people about this, you know?
mm,
And I was already depressed and anxious. I didn't think I could handle it. I felt like I wanted to die somewhat.
yeah,
So I went to
yeah. Didn't
rehab,
want to push it. Yeah,
but when I went to rehab and I got out and I was still depressed and I was still going to meetings, I was like, this is the one thing I haven't tried. It was literally my last resort. So it's like I tried drugs, that didn't work. I tried all these other things. Let me just be honest as fuck. And I remember when I made that video, it was hard. But before I clicked publish, I had like an anxiety attack, and then when I saw people were really loving, because I hated myself at
mm,
this time, and they invalidated that self-hatred by loving me, even though I hated they invalidated it, and I cried. I like broke down. It's on my second channel, CGKid Vlogs. because I was crying so hard. I was like, fuck it, let me like actually record this so I never forget what my bottom is like. And
Yeah.
I recorded it for myself, and then I ended up like just putting it on a second channel and starting that channel where it's more about my depression recovery. And you see me kind of going through all these things. Like I'm trying everything, reading books, everything on that channel. And the one thing that worked for me was the last thing I was willing to try, and it was meditation. I realize now, like, it was the last thing I was willing to try because I think if I'm obsessed about financial problems, I need to fix them. Like I need to fix things outside of me. If I'm obsessed about not having a video right now, I need to make one. Like that's how I always solve my problems. If I'm obsessed about failing a class, I need to study and make an A. So I
Right,
always
right.
solve
Focus on
problems
what's in front
outside.
of you. Yeah.
So it's like meditation. What does that solve outside of me? Nothing. But it's about solving what's within me. And when I did meditation, I started realizing that it was very hard to stop thinking. And that's when I started realizing that my thoughts are the problem. And I started getting connected to I'm not my thoughts. Um, because I'm able to watch them and be aware that my thoughts are the problem. I'm able to throughout the day, my brain in the morning wants a candy bar and energy drink. That's a craving, that's the brain wanting dopamine. I'm able to be aware that my brain wants that and say, but what do I want? And I can ask myself that question, like, what's the meaning of life? I can ask life that question every minute of every day. And what is my meaning? And my meaning is not to eat a bunch of junk food. I want to eat healthy so I can experience that. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Exactly.
I started becoming aware and conscious and waking up. And then I realized there's this whole community of people that believe the same thing, which is really cool. So, people like Zen masters, and there's a lot of authors that talk about mindfulness. And I got really involved in that and reading the books and joining meditation communities. And then I did LSD. And
How was
that was
that?
about like 3 weeks ago.
Oh
It
shit.
was, I was like, see, like the thing with psychedelic drugs, I never would have considered them a relapse for me. As a matter of fact, the 6.5 years I talked about earlier, for the first 2 years, I took psychedelics. And so I've always known that I've had a healthy relationship with them. I know they don't trigger me to want to use something else. I know my intent is different. They're not done as an escape. Like I talked about escaping my thoughts. Like when I use pot to help me sleep at night because I'm thinking too much, the last thing on my mind would be to use shrooms. You know what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah,
it's not that kind of thing.
no.
I thought about it. I didn't jump into it and like, hey, I never done LSD before in my life. It wasn't like, hey, I'm popping this and this will numb me out and I'll have a good time. No, I sat there for a bit, like kind of scared. Like, and it was much more of like the reason I took it was
How
I've
much
heard
did
it
you
helps.
take?
God, I took one hit, but that shit was strong.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The person I was with who gave it to me was like, I just asked her how much would it take for me to really hallucinate, and she said one hit,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, all right. And going into
That'll
it,
do.
I had heard it helps with PTSD, depression, anxiety, addiction, and I kind of know that like altering your perception can help you in ways. Like it's a tool. I saw it as a utility to explore consciousness and look at my situation with depression and the relapse and the whole, because I was already in a good place. I'd already been meditating. I wasn't really depressed. But that being said, it wasn't like I was fully awakened. There was a part of me that still had some questions as to what really happened. And so I took LSD as a utility to explore those questions, and it ended up being the most life-changing experience of my life. I think it was very important, though, that I was already on a good path. Like I already had been sober. I was already in support group meetings. I already was meditating and finding this new way of living where I could find satisfaction within through my awareness rather than on the surface all the time. It was important for me to be in that place, and I took it because I think that's what kept me from that. That made me more able to explore what it was trying to show me, and it showed me the trippiest shit in the world, bro.
What did it
That
show
was
you?
the Oh God, dude. It basically
Oh
I wouldn't
God,
use
it showed you God.
I wouldn't use the word God because like a lot of people already have conceptions of what God is or isn't, if he's real or not. I just saw something that is without a name, and it was a light, and when this light was a pure loving light that I just wanted to be with.
Mm.
and it wanted to be with me, and it was like something I could stare at forever. And it was just it was an energy that was beyond anything I ever felt, and it was love, and it was showing me all my past experiences. I was abused as a kid, and it was showing me my experiences, but it was more so focused on, you know, it was focused on like my father and me. It was like the love connection, how I was created by love, how my parents loved me. It was highlighting all the love I've had in my life,
Mm.
and it was showing me that this is what created me, and that
Wow.
this love always wants to be with me, and I truly always want to be with it. But then I started seeing what some people would call Satan, like darkness. And what darkness was like everything that was keeping me from being with this light. And it was all these obstructions, and it was just everything in the world that you could imagine. It was mainly like it was mainly it showed me obstructions outside of myself. So I was abusive towards my ex, and it was showing me how I was building these walls around her so that she couldn't see this light, so she didn't
Mm.
love herself. But then it showed me the reason I was building these walls around her is because there was walls in my own consciousness that told me I didn't deserve love. So if I don't deserve it, she doesn't deserve it. And the
Mm.
reason I felt I didn't deserve love is I was always focused on the pain. So it's like with my parents had a rough divorce, and to an extent it was abusive, and I was always focused on stuff like that, like the abusive part of the relationship. But this showed me that focusing on the pain is the walls, and
Mm.
not focusing on the light. And that light was, and I even, dude, it was so trippy, dude. I was like literally, and it felt so obvious of an answer. Talking about this feels like, I'm teaching like fifth grade spirituality to an extent. But that's what was so confusing to me. It was like it's so obvious, and I even relived going into therapy and rehab, and I like saw the energy of the room. It's not like I physically saw it, but I just saw this person that was so confused, and these counselors were trying to show him right what was right in front of him, and
Mm.
he wasn't gonna see it until he just opened his eyes. It was almost like it was like looking up at the sun. Simple, it's
Right.
there.
Yeah.
There's no complicated path to it. It's there. And so like with that, I got connected to an external conception of something bigger than myself that's with me at all times, which whether or not it's real doesn't matter. Whether or not it works for me and it makes me happy, that's what matters. So
Exactly.
that that's all that matters to me. I don't really care. So I believe even in this corona apocalypse and stuff, it's like if hypothetically, like, all right, I don't plan the outcome, so I don't plan on being homeless. But even hypothetically, were that to happen in the now, I believe this light is with me,
Mm.
uh, and that this light is still there. And I believe that our whole system is set up because the whole system doesn't want people to believe that they deserve love.
No, no,
It's
no.
like, yeah, the whole system wants us to think, how do you deserve love? You become important. You're needed. You're like a doctor, an engineer, a psychiatrist. You work at
Right.
McDonald's. And it's like it doesn't even have to be said. It's like it's this unconscious belief system where the person that works at McDonald's, like they could be working way harder, just be really good people, real kind, generous, merciful, but it's like no, we respect the billionaire, and it's
Ex-
like we all cling to them. Does any, you know what I mean? And it's like the whole system is wrong,
mm.
and that this whole system is Satan. Like that's basically like this whole Satan, and it's like this darkness. It's a spirit of darkness that wants us to not believe that we can have the light,
Well,
and it's set
it's
up to be that way.
it's interesting you say that because I had a really dark trip a few years ago that showed me that this matrix is basically a satanic prison in a sense. And I remember
Yeah,
because you said something about like Satan keeping you away from the light and distracting you and stuff. And there's a book called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill who wrote Think and Grow Rich. And he talks about the devil. He says that his main purpose in life is to distract you, to stray you off your path. So it throws all this resistance in your way, and like it could be porn or fucking careers or I don't know, whatever it may be, but it just throws whatever it can in your way so you can step away from who you truly are. Like that's its
yeah,
purpose. But at the same time, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I guess it depends on how whether or not you let fear control you or not. But it's sort of like video games, you know what I mean? Like you're always going to have bad guys and bosses and obstacles that you
hmm
need to jump. But yeah, it's just interesting that you said that because that's exactly how Satan was described in this book. So
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a force. It's not like a red
It's
demon figure, you know?
yeah, it's that thing where it's like even jealousy is like it's like, you know, one guy is super attractive like Brad Pitt, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
the
yeah.
other guy is not. And it's
Yeah.
like people think he deserves love, and that's unspoken, but it's like, you know, people are like, "Man, you're an attractive guy," versus you're like obese or whatever and you're overweight and you're out of shape and you're not that attractive. It's like, "Oh, you know, the woman just ignore him."
Mm.
And it's unspoken, but it's there, and it's like we see it and we know it's wrong. This is why guys, like, I got jealous in relationships, and my girlfriend would hang out with guys, my ex, because I felt like that was wrong and she was gonna be deceived by the system and cheat on me. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like
yeah.
some deep part of me irks that this is wrong. We know this system is wrong, you know, and it is wrong. And I believe it's the devil. And how do we turn away from it? Well, like when I saw this light, I realized my purpose on this earth is to serve this light, and this light is all I ever want to be with, and I focus on that. And I
Exactly.
focus on, and I believe everybody deserves the light. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how little you have, how attractive you are, how many subscribers you have. Nothing matters. It's like everybody deserves this light, and
Mm.
I could be a walking symbol of that light, and that's my purpose in this life. And I
Fuck yeah.
now
That's
like
awesome.
yeah, I believe, you know, and this is just like purely what I believe. I mean, there's like two trains of thoughts. Like we die and nothing happens, which when you're dead, it's like you don't remember ever existing. Like to me, it sounds not like that bad of an option. Like death isn't that scary to me anymore. Or there's the idea of we become pure conscious beings. In other words, we leave our mind and our bodies behind, and we are just consciousness. And it's like weightlessness, I imagine. And we meet the whatever created the universe, which I
Right.
believe it's this light of love and compassion and mercy, this great thing.
Merging with
Then
source. Mm.
yeah, and you know, people ask like, why do bad things happen to good people? And it's like I said before, it's like, you know, the ego weeps for what it lost, but our consciousness, it rejoices for what it's found. So people look at somebody who's like in adversity, like poverty or whatever, and think, how could a God put them through that? But I believe on a conscious level, there's something we don't see. We
Exactly.
see a person on a physical level that the world system has turned against, and obviously Satan hates this person, or the world system put this person down. But on an inner strength level, that person is higher than most beings on this earth. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I don't think that the person that was born in a rich home that becomes a billionaire celebrity, um, you know, I don't believe some of them do have that inner strength. Don't get me wrong. It's not a broad judgment, but just because they have that doesn't mean that, you know,
Mm.
they have it all.
Well,
You know,
some
that
some
person,
some of those people live in the most hellish realities that we couldn't even fathom. You know,
yeah,
it's like you were saying before. Like there's a blessing in every curse and a curse in every blessing. It depends on how you choose to act on what's given to you. You know, what hand do you have? Some people get a shitty hand, but like, what are you gonna do? Just complain about it, and you know, it's like you're talking about the spoiled person. Some people would think that's a good thing, like a child inheriting millions and millions of dollars from their wealthy parents. But imagine what they'll do to that discipline. They'll have zero drive to do anything in life because everything's given to them on a silver platter. And many times they end up being the most miserable type of people who get into all sorts of troubles, man. They drugs and all that. So it's
yeah, exactly. I believe, like, I choose to believe that there's something after. I believe after we die, our consciousness goes on, and I don't know much beyond that, but I do believe this universe is created by this loving force, and I believe
mm,
that if it has the ability to create the stars, the earth, all space, all matter, then it has the ability to take somebody who went through a bad time like oppression and make up for it by showing them their inner strength. You know what I mean?
well, yeah, well, dude, man, some of the most holy of prophets of our time have had the most fucked up upbringing, you know? So it's
Uh,
like, think about like Jesus, I don't know, that's one example. Look what he had to fucking go through,
yeah,
you know? Or fucking,
exactly.
or like the Dalai Lama, his whole family got like fucking slaughtered in Tibet, you know? So
Yeah,
a lot of our greatest leaders have gone through the most, like the heaviest suffering, but they were able to transcend it. So, and then the people who've gone through zero suffering throughout their life and everything's gone fine and dandy, they don't have like much character development about them. You know what I
yeah,
mean? They're kind of like plain vanilla. but they've had a good
Yeah.
life. So it's like, again, it's not good or bad. It's just there's a blessing in every curse in every blessing. You can't escape the polarity of existence. It's just the way it is. It's just
Yeah, and
what are you going to do about it?
this light exists within us, and it's crazy because whenever we're faced with adversity, we're kind of forced to find it to comfort ourselves. It's like this one guy was reaching out to me and he talked about his girlfriend leaving him and he's going through a lot of pain. I made a video on that on my main channel once.
Mm,
And then it was the first time, this is after the LSD experience. It was the first time that, because I basically, that was the worst thing I ever went through in my life, but it was the first time I was truly grateful for it. So what
mm,
psychedelics did for me is to help solve PTSD a lot. Because when I
mm.
thought about my relationship with my ex, I thought about the pain, the bad times.
Yeah.
But I started to realize that that pain made me who I am today. Like it was like this recognition that I am a stronger person now. Even when I walked through depression this last time, the one restitution I had that I held on to is I've went through something worse than this, which is losing my ex. And
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
changed me in a way of being more compassionate. I'm better in relationships with people. I'm less entitled. I
Mm,
understand I don't take people for granted because I took her for granted and she left. Like
mm.
it taught me so much, it made me so strong that LSD it made me able to see that pain as a blessing almost,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
You were humbled. Yeah. It's like we were talking about earlier before. Like because I was literally walking through a war zone to the point where I even got tear gassed, and I've never seen such rage and violence with my own eyes. So that when I come here and then this whole virus pandemic happened, it's like, oh, this is easy. This is fucking. I'm cruising.
Hmm.
It's like it's not really that big of a deal. But for people who've never gone through harsh challenges in their life, they're fucking freaking out. You know what I mean? Because
Exactly.
that's like the peak of their challenges. So yeah, sometimes it's good to purposely put yourself through challenges. That's why I like traveling through like rural parts of third world countries, and sometimes in a way, it's not that I like seeing fucked up shit, but it's like my mind doesn't like it, but my soul kind of craves for it in a way because it's sort of like testing grounds, and I don't know, kind of
Yeah.
like being more humble and appreciative of what you've got. Because once you've, like I've traveled through India and I've seen some fucking hell, man, some real horrific shit. So then when I come back to Australia, it's like, man, this is paradise. You know, we
Yeah.
have it so
Exactly.
easy. We have resources. We have like, and then that's why it's a pet peeve of mine is when I see like privileged people who live in a developed country, when I see them complain, that really grinds my gears, man, because it's like, man, you have no idea the
Yeah,
suffering
they
that
have it.
people go through around the world, and you're bitching because you got a white iPhone instead of a black one or whatever.
Yeah, but even in those third world countries where people are suffering, they adapt. You know what I mean? Like the key, there's somebody who said like the way people survive is to adapt. Like that's
Yeah,
how you
yeah.
survive.
Well,
If
it's
you
like
don't
South.
adapt,
It's
you will
like
die.
yeah. It's like South America. You could say from a Western perspective that it's a really fucked up continent, and it is in many ways for sure. But I've noticed that the people there's a bigger heart there. There's more passion. They dance more.
Yeah.
They laugh louder. They show more compassion and they understanding. Like just the average Latino person for me is a lot wiser than the average, let's say, Australian, for example. And I know I'm overgeneralizing, but it's just from what I've perceived and experienced, it seems to be that they're just a lot more grateful for what they have because they've been
Yeah.
through shit. They've been through revolutions. They've seen the military kill their families and just like shit that we couldn't even fathom. You know what I mean? Like Australia, for example, has never gone through a revolution. So to me, it's very concerning how people are reacting now, because when something really serious happens, and like we talked before, this is serious, but I'm talking like much more serious on a much bigger catastrophe level. People aren't going to be able to handle it, man, because we've been in
Hmm.
our comfort bubble, separated from everywhere. It's interesting how, because Australia, we're our own continent, island, and country, but so we're not constantly being aware of being surrounded by other cultures and countries and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I mean, like what you're seeing is like there's like that infliction. It's we're not used to it, so the adaptation has to happen like to an extreme, And how do people in third world countries adapt to suffering? You can't change the outside world, so the adaptation is not about a physical change. It's much more about an internal change.
mm,
And I think a lot of people don't know how to adapt to this. Like if it and they're projecting it going all these bad ways and like worrying about it. What was someone said something really profound, like today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. You start realizing in life that you've been in situations where it was like your worst imaginable nightmare, but you were comfortable in it because
Mm.
you adapted.
You do.
So
You
it's like the
adapt.
only way we're gonna adapt. Yeah, we're gonna adapt, and the only way that we're gonna adapt is to change on the inside, and the inside is giving less weight to our surroundings and focusing more on this inner realm. And I think that's what psychedelics that's what they do. They kind of connect us to our conscious. It's a consciousness experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And
and
it's like
everything's relative.
observing our brains.
We
Yeah.
humans get used to shit. That's the problem. Like someone who's like super depressed and anxious and has all these fucked up mental health issues, I'm sure some kid somewhere in the world would kill to switch positions with that person. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
from for what they have. So yeah, it's all relative, I guess. And like you said, adaptation. Humans. That's how we've survived for so long. We're masters at adapting. It's actually quite
Yeah. No.
remarkable. It's like I'm
How are we gonna adapt to
mind
this?
blown.
And the only way to adapt is to find peace within, because
Mm.
you're not gonna adapt changing. We can't change what's happening right now outside of us. So the adaptation has to happen within, and I think people are gonna find that. I think this pandemic is like a blessing and a curse at the same time, because I think it's gonna wake people up. A lot of
Mm.
people are gonna wake up because they're
Yeah.
put in that situation where they have to adapt. You're never gonna choose to adapt to adversity. And like for me, I adapted before because I was going through depression, and that's why this seems a lot easier for me, because when I was going through depression, it's like I told you before, it didn't make sense. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I thought I could be like this the rest of my life. And
Mm.
that's the thing about depression, is nobody else sees it, only you go through it. It makes you dysfunctional, and it's like people will invalidate, like, just choose to be happy or whatever, and they don't even know what you're going through, but like
Oh,
we're in
that makes
this
you feel even
together.
worse because it's like, fuck,
Yeah.
now I feel more isolated and you really don't understand what I'm going through. It's like sometimes when you're just like expressing your pain, sometimes all you want is acknowledgement, not for someone to be like, oh, no, don't worry about it, just do this. It's like, it's not quite that simple.
Yeah,
Some people just
exactly.
want to be heard, you know?
I
I went through
appreciate
that a
this
lot.
experience. We're going, well, at least we have each other. That's one thing I would say
Oh,
to
yeah,
people.
man.
Like, well, the whole system collapses. We're out in the streets. We'll hunt squirrels together, or quokkas, or whatever. Get some kangaroo drumsticks.
Fuck yeah.
We'll be in it together. You could think of some close friends, or just people, or as a community.
Kangaroo
Worst case scenario.
drumsticks. That's
Maybe
hilarious.
we'll go back to tribalism. Fuck the government. Yeah.
That would
We'll
be
build
interesting. Be
tents.
connected to nature again, you know, ground yourself, walk barefoot in nature,
Yeah.
just go back
The
to where we
worst
came
case
from.
scenario is not that bad, and once it happens, trust me, we will adapt to it.
Yeah.
It's projecting it and worrying about it. No, wait until it happens. When it's actually happening, we'll get through it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fine. It's like
Yeah.
integrating your roots, you know. But I don't think we can really go back to the way to where we came from because we've already opened up Pandora's box. This is a new reality now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
we might take things from the past for sure, like, you know, growing your vegetables, fruits, hunting, whatever. But with all this new technology and the knowledge that we have now, there is no turning back.
Yeah.
But it's kind of
Yeah.
exciting,
It's
you know. It's
crazy.
exciting and
Yeah.
terrifying depending on your perspective. But
Better to choose to try to see it as exciting, though. But
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, it's crazy because after looking through all this stuff, which I spend little time doing, but I'm thorough. I go through my sources. This is bad. Like, I can't comfort somebody by saying this isn't that bad. I could comfort
Nah,
somebody
nah.
saying, well, adapt, things will be okay. Like, but this is bad. Like, the system is
Oh
crashing.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, for sure.
the economy in the United States, at least, is completely failing. Like, and the leadership. I'm not even here to get political, but it's bad. They're talking about basically on Easter they're just gonna reopen everything and just say some people will die and it's okay.
Yeah.
But they're like focused on saving the economy. But the problem is they reopen it and there's dead bodies piling in the street. Nobody's gonna go to work or go to Chili's or go spend money. Everybody's gonna still be worried the economy will tank. But it's just like the herd immunity will take forever to get through, and then by the end of that, the economy. I mean, I think that the economy could shoot back up. I'm not a predictor of the future, but I'm just saying we have some troubling times. Like I
Yeah, yeah,
totally
yeah.
understand people's fears. Like I get it. You know what I mean?
But eventually, that's when things will go back up. Ebbs and flows, man. Principle of rhythm. There's always
Yeah.
always waves, ups and downs. So this is a bit of a down right now, but you can take advantage of this, man. I've heard a lot of like wealthy people talk about like success principles of when people are in panic mode and everyone's fucking retreating. That's when you should step forward and invest, you know. And when
Hmm.
everyone's greedy, that's when you should be
Yeah.
step back a bit.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think even like the way we were before, at least here, it was good. I mean, it was a lot better than third world countries. But for poor people, like a homeless person, how's this going to impact them?
Hmm.
They might get coronavirus and get sick, especially a younger homeless person. They might not die, but say they don't die, this would have no impact on them
Hmm. Or
because the
very little.
economy is,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they've already been struggling to survive. There's people that work like 3 jobs. It's like, how's this going to impact them? And I've even known people that are homeless that they went from working 3 jobs to being homeless by choice. And they said being homeless isn't that bad. It's just people fearmonger and act
Hmm.
like it's so horrible. But it's better than when I was working 3 jobs and barely getting by. So he just said one day, he just said, I choose to be homeless.
Hey man,
And
better
he's
than
fine
World
with
War
it.
Two, right?
Yeah.
I'm
And
assuming
then
I
they,
didn't live through World War Two, but I'm gonna assume that this is not as bad. You know?
even death, like people are so afraid of dying right now, I
Yeah.
understand it. I'm always gonna have a fear of death, but it's like for people that have already been struggling to survive, it's like death isn't as scary. Or people that have been through depression, it's like death is a part of life, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can't have life without death. You can't have death without life, and I believe that death is the most spiritual experience. Is when I will. This is just how I assume it will be. Is that it'll be the one time where I'll see what it meant to live, and I'll wish I could be present and be
Mm.
alive. It's like I won't be like on my deathbed knowing I have 3 minutes left to live. I won't be thinking how much money do I have? How's the economy
Yeah,
doing?
yeah, yeah, exactly. You don't really give a
How
shit
what
about
am
any
I
of that.
gonna do
Yeah.
what am I gonna eat later? All I'm gonna think about is the now, and I'm gonna think
Yeah.
about the people I love. You know what I mean? Like death is that one moment where we see what life was about, and then death is like it's a part of life. I would say when we grow older, like when I grew older, it's like life lost its magic, and that was part of the depression. Life
Mm.
becomes more about profit, survival, ego, building up a reputation, and like the simple things as a kid, like seeing magic in the outdoors, it ceases to lose it stops having magic, and that's why we have kids. Without death, there'd
Mm.
be too many people. We wouldn't all fit.
That'd be
And why do we
horrible.
have kids?
Imagine
Yeah, yeah.
like as much as we all love our parents, of course, but imagine if they lived forever,
Would they
for
want to?
eternity.
Yeah, would they
That's
even want
horrible.
to live for eternity? I think we have kids because we lose magic after so many years because we have to survive and we like to see the magic in our kids. So when they open up a Christmas present, like all the people get together and like the kids being there is the highlight of the show because kids still find magic and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
sad how we kill our inner child within, you know. Because I went through the same thing. I think that's probably why you and myself got into drugs and high
Yeah.
stimulus sort of activities, you know, just to kind of
Mhm.
give us a night like crazy
Yeah.
experience, you know, that turns us on. But
Yeah.
even now, like
Yeah.
there was a certain point, even the start of my psychedelic journey, where for sure I was doing it for self development and awakening and all that. But in a way, I was like looking for these drugs to tap into the magic and the fantastical aspects of reality. Whereas now I find it just normal reality, man. It's fucking incredible. Even technology, like just the very fact that the internet exists is fucking mind boggling, you know?
Mhm.
Or just how
Absolutely. And
nature works, or animals, or just humans. It's fascinating.
you bring up animals and they're honestly animals have been such a source of motivation and I learn more from animals than I learn from people.
Mm.
Animals are like in the present. Like, what's the meaning of life? Everybody wants some higher meaning. I used to be that way. Like, I need a
Yeah.
legacy. I built up my YouTube channel. It's like, I need to create a legacy. I need to help people. I need to have some meaning. But what if the meaning of life was just to be alive? And a lot of people have contested me on that. But
Exactly.
I'm starting to learn that I understand the resistance to something like that. that there is no other meaning. The meaning of life is to be alive, and dogs get it.
They
What
get
is
it,
the meaning?
man. They get it.
You ask a dog, what is your meaning? To be a dog. You know what I mean? But in a
I
way,
love
they
you,
have
master.
everything that they need.
Yeah.
They have everything that they need. Like we need physically need food, shelter, water. I don't deny that, but there's like a deeper need, a
Yeah, yeah,
need
yeah,
like
yeah.
Maslow's hierarchy. It's like the self-actualization,
Self-actualization. Yeah.
and that to me the meaning of life is to be alive. You know what I mean?
Well, it's
And
like, yeah, continue, sorry.
no, that's just when everything you have deep down, you have it all.
Yeah. Well,
So
it's
like animals have been so inspirational.
for sure. It's like Alan Watts said, what is it? Chop wood, fetch water. After enlightenment, chop wood, fetch water. It's like things.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, 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 and that's like I've been just doing a whole lot better in my recovery. It feels like I live for something deeper, and then the surface things can shake up, but it's like physically adversity could hit me, but deep down this thing is unshaken. You know
Mm,
what I mean? I
that's
see that
awesome,
like
man.
whatever happens is a challenge rather than an obstacle, something I need to dodge or avoid. Like pain is something now more so I embrace and try to walk through,
Mm.
and I see it as a challenge,
So
and
your roots are
that
planted in the ground now. So when a storm
yeah,
hits, you're planted there. You're not gonna let the
yeah,
storm blow you away. And that's the even just the growing your roots. It's like Carl Jung said, for you to grow to heaven, your roots must go towards hell. And that's the suffering and the pain and that character development. It's like this process of purifying, like hitting a sword against a fucking iron hammer. You gotta it's gotta go through so much heat and force, and then you got a nice, awesome sword.
exactly. And
So,
it's like I've always been confused because I live in Western culture, and it's blasphemous to say that you're a god or I'm a god, because it's blasphemous to look for God in anything other than the Bible or church or this, that, or the other. But I never truly found like a relationship with something higher until I looked within myself. It's
mm,
like the one place I started realizing, well, where would Satan hide this light that I saw on LSD? Well, he would hide it in space, but eventually we'd find it. He would hide it at the bottom of the sea. Eventually we'd find it. He could hide it anywhere in the earth or space, and we'd eventually find it because we launch things in space, go travel. We're intuitive creatures.
mm,
But if you hid it within ourselves, that would be the last place we would look. You know what I mean?
mm. It's true. It's a good place to hide it.
Yeah, yeah, it's the best hiding spot. So I'm just grateful, man. It's like being free. Haven't been this happy. So when I told you earlier about my relapse, I said my recovery was never really right because it was very much so based on the outside of me. Now
Mm,
I'm sober, so now I'm gonna accomplish a lot, work out a lot, and I acted my way into loving myself. I said, what would I do if I did love myself? And that worked back then, but eventually it was gonna fail because I had to really look for love within myself that was always there and always will be. The
mm.
eternal principle. And now, like my recovery is completely different. So I've been the happiest I've ever been in my life, even amidst all this chaos. Sometimes I get wrapped up in it, and I get kind of frustrated when I see people acting crazy, and I'm like, God, man. Like I told you, I walk into Walmart and I'm like, they buy everything good. And like, I get a little frustrated when people are still gathering here. Like we have social distancing and they're having like pool parties. I look at them like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah. But it's
But
okay to
for
be
the most part,
frustrated, it's part of being
yeah,
human. And some even like
yeah,
for myself, like as an artist, I purposely allow myself to get angry and frustrated, but more of like, oh look, this is entertaining. I just like to fuel that and then use that as like to create something, But I don't
yeah,
get attached to it. I can let it go. It's like a movie, you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like, how boring would the protagonist be if he never got angry? He was always at peace. Like, you know what I mean?
absolutely, absolutely.
It'd be fucking boring. And like the stupidity thing as well is another pet peeve of mine. It's like, man, you've got this crazy pandemic of this virus that's killing people because of low immunities. And then what do people buy first? Flour, wheat, which is horrible for your immune system. And they're buying all this junk food. Like their priorities are all fucked up, man. This is the time where we should be healthy. Like, man, you look at the fruit and vegetable section, it's filled completely. And then you look at all the like noodles, pasta,
Oh
flour,
God.
all the shit
I
that's
told myself
terrible for your immune system. And that's the
I
shit
told
that people go
myself,
for.
bro, the same thing. I was like, I'm gonna use this time to get healthier, and for personal reasons, I just got done eating lasagna in the shower.
In the shower? I'm just picturing you eating lasagna in the shower now.
Yeah,
Very
I'm gonna
charming.
do. I think I gotta get healthier, man. I got done
You got
before.
it,
I ate
man.
all the junk food. I got junk food and healthy food. I ate all the junk food first, so
The
I got
physical
it out of my
body is
system.
so important, man. Like everything's a reflection of the all, God, whatever you want to call it. So sometimes
Yeah.
even people get stuck in this spiritual materialism where they think that this physical reality doesn't matter at all and it's all about the inner, but it's both, man. The outer is the inner. It's a reflection of the inner. So sometimes
Hmm.
the physical world is actually something that you need to focus on. It depends on where you are. Like, I guess if you're too focused on the external world, then obviously you need to go within. If you're too within and your physical world is, could be
Yeah, you
better,
gotta
that's when you
use
should
your
go
brain. Our
external.
brain is here to protect us. That's why we have eyes, scent, hearing. A big part of it is to protect us from a tiger. You know.
Exactly.
And it's
Exactly.
not like be so spiritual when a tiger's around. You just sit there like, oh, I'm good. I see people doing really dumb stuff,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
because like they're even churches haven't closed down and they're doing that thing where they're putting their hand on each other's heads and people are like, you need Jesus during these times. No one else will save you. I'm like, use your minds. That's when the physical's a tool
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
survive.
exactly. And it's really profound. Like now, I look at this physical reality more psychedelic than any state that I've been in now, just because of my perception and how it's shifted. It's so
Hmm.
profound, man. Yeah, there's a lot to do here. Even boredom is a concept that doesn't even enter my mind anymore because there's a lot to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sweet.
So
Yeah, man. I reckon that's a good way to end the podcast. Don't you think?
yeah, we're at an hour and 21 minutes.
Yeah.
It felt fast, bro.
It did. Time goes quick. See, that's when you know you're having fun when it just
I
becomes
think it came
timeless.
out good. I thought it was good.
I
The
like your lighting
conversation.
situation. It's like I don't know. It's just like your head glowing.
Is it really? Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't even
and
see
like
it.
everything's black around you except for like your
Oh
arm and
my
your head
god.
and your mic.
Should turn this shit up.
Satan. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh
Blue.
shit. Now you're
Whoa.
blue. Oh shit.
Yeah, that one's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Bit more neutral.
too, there we
Oh
go.
damn.
Oh god.
That's like Avatar shit.
I love this light. I've been streaming a lot on my second. I don't know what I'm gonna do on my main channel. I kind of like. I think I'm gonna come back after the Corona things died off. It's just so on people's minds right now.
Mm.
YouTube sent out that thing. They're like, "Hey, we have less employees, so you're more likely to get a strike and less likely to be able to appeal it." And I was like, "Oh, great." And I was just kind of like feeling like I need a break anyways because the algorithm's been hitting me down
Yeah, me
ever since I
too.
put out the relapse video. Your
Interesting.
channel's been booming though. You're about to hit 200K.
Yeah. Oh,
I
it's
noticed that.
okay. I've not because last time we did a podcast, I'm pretty sure I had more subscribers than you, and then now you're like you fucking boom, you've exploded, man. I'm really happy for you. I was like looking at your channel, I was like, fuck, you got like, getting good views, doing good
Dead now,
content.
bro. I'm getting like 22,000 views a day, maybe. I'm like, damn. I'm
That's
like
heaps.
dead. Huh?
22,000 a day, isn't that like a lot?
No, I'm used to 50.
Yeah, but man, you got to think about 22,000 pairs of eyeballs
I know,
looking at
I'm
you.
trying not
It's
to be greedy. I
nothing.
don't know what happened,
Some people
bro. It's
don't
like,
get 20,000 people looking at their shit in their lifetime, man. So that's how I look at
yeah,
it.
I'm grateful. It's just it's so different than before. It's like you ever since I released that relapse video, I don't know why, but the algorithm has just been out to that's when it dropped from 50 to 20.
See, that's
It's
the
just like that
human
relapse
mind,
video
man,
tip.
getting used to shit. I'm only getting 22,000 a day, a
I'm gonna
day
come
as
back.
well.
I'm waiting for this corona thing to dissipate. It just feels like such an elephant in the room. And I was
I,
like, I'm gonna do podcasting.
dude, I reckon. Well, actually, you can do whatever you want, but I'm going harder during these times. I think this is when we're in a good position. More people at home watching YouTube, so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go
Yeah.
harder. Because I was supposed
Yeah.
to go to Mexico next month for like a month, so those plans are obviously cancelled. Not
Yeah.
officially, but I'm assuming unless we go through some amazing miracle that changes the state of the world, but I doubt that's going to happen. So, yeah, the cases exponentially increasing. So
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to do interviews now. Like
yeah, dude,
the whole.
I was planning on doing like we're gonna do peyote on like this sacred land in Mexico and go on a desert walk.
Hey,
Yeah,
Hey, you did San Pedro, right?
yeah, I did San Pedro. Yeah, I did it
Did
about
it work?
a month. Yeah, it definitely worked. I like San Pedro is actually my favorite psychedelic. Well, I don't want
Yeah,
to say favorite, but the one that I resonate with most. I like that masculine grandfather gentle energy to it, you know,
yeah,
versus ayahuasca, which is a little bit more intense
yeah, absolutely.
and
Um,
harder to put the dots together.
yeah, I'm thinking about getting some good cactus.
But dude, one
It's hard to
day
find a good cactus.
I would love to invite you to Peru with me. If I could fly you out, would you come?
I would fly myself out. I'll go to
No,
Peru
no,
with
I
you.
could get you. I reckon
The
we can
ayahuasca
fly you
shit's
out.
scary.
Yeah, but we can go maybe. It's not concrete, but just I reckon January would be a good time.
Peruvian torch.
Yeah, dude, it'll be
That's
awesome. Imagine us being in the Sacred Valley, the mountains, the mystical mountains of Peru.
dude, I would do it, man.
Fuck yeah! All right, it's a done.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. Yeah, I think with YouTube, I'm just the big thing is I want it to be a hobby. You know, like one thing I did. It's
Brighten
like
up your
I'm
light a
learning.
bit. I can't see you.
Oh wait. Oh shit. Yeah. I was like, Let me change this shit. There we go.
There we go.
I'm learning like YouTube. It took too much energy. I'm trying to like treat it as a hobby again. I feel like I need a break to do that. It's weird.
I know
Like
what you
I
mean.
got
Yeah,
way
yeah.
too wrapped up in it, and like I don't know how long the break's gonna last. I just know I need one. You know, I need to
Mm,
focus more on like physical fitness, music, podcasting, other things,
mm.
and bring it back. And I hope my audience still remembers me, and I'm not like dead, like basically dead by then. But I'm just letting it go. You know,
Nah, it's good to
letting it
go for a
go.
break every once in a while. Like sometimes I go on breaks, but without going on breaks. So what I mean by that is that I'll just schedule a whole bunch of videos, so then I won't actually have to upload or anything like that for like a month or two. But I would already have those
Have you
videos
ever
ready.
taken like a really long break?
No, I haven't. Well, because this is like my gig. I guess it's that fear of like, oh man, but if I take too long of a break, then the algorithm is going to punish me further. People are going to forget about me. I'm going to lose
Yeah.
everything. And then what am I going to do? Get a job? No way. Fuck that. And then I just like kind of go on
Yeah, I
this fear
want a
loop,
job. I've been realizing lately, like self-employment, it doesn't work. I like having a lot of time, but I realize when I have too much time, I end up being less productive in general. Like it affects me.
I know you,
Like I,
it's funny that you
yeah,
say that because I want to have a job, but still being self-employed. You know what I mean?
yeah, I
Like
want YouTube to be like a weekend gig. You know
like
what I mean?
this is too flexible because I can do this at my own time whenever I want. But if I have something else, like let's say, for example, hosting a retreat, for example, I have to be there at this certain time and I'm connecting with people. That sounds cool, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing with this Mexico thing. So, for those who signed up to the Mexico retreat, apologize about this pandemic. It's all my fault. It was a conspiracy. I planted
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bat. I fucking egged that guy to eat the bat. So my bad. Was it a guy or a girl? I
I
forgot.
don't know. I don't know. I heard I fell out of pangolin, and it was somebody who touched it and wiped their eyes.
It was my fault. I egged them. I'm like, I dare you to eat that bat. They're like, nah. I'm like, dude, do it. I'll give you $10.
Oh my god. Yeah. I think taking a break's good for me. I don't know if that's just, but I was like, it's funny because in my LSD video, I started off with I need to find a job, and then this Corona thing happens. I didn't even know that. I was so scared making that video. I was almost as scared as my relapse video
Mm,
because I was like, well, now I'm telling my whole family I did LSD, and I'm telling potential future employers, and I'm looking for a job. But I did it anyways, you
fuck
know. And
it.
now I'm like, well, fuck it, I can't get a job anyways. I didn't even foresee this happening.
And I feel like we live in times where the stigma on psychedelics is much lower now. Like I don't even find it as a big deal opening up about this shit. I feel like everyone's had a psychedelic experience at this point.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but you know what I mean. It's just a lot more common. Like 5 years
Yeah.
ago, I didn't meet one person in my surroundings who's ever experienced ayahuasca. Not one. I was the
Jesus.
first person in my whole group to actually take the plunge and go to the Amazon by myself. So you could imagine how scared I was. And now
I
it's like
bet.
ayahuasca's like trending. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone's done,
Yeah.
not everyone's done it, but it's not hard to find someone who's experienced it. So, and which is
Yeah.
good. Now, of course, like we talked about before, there's a blessing in every curse in every blessing. So there is a bit of an alarming approach that some people are taking towards psychedelics, and then the ayahuasca tourism industry is kind of attracting charlatans and evil, bad shamans who are flocking to this money grabbing situation. So this is how it is, wherever there's money to be made, there's going to be
That's
charlatans
how
who are going
the
to
it's like
attract.
how the kratom people are.
Yeah. Or you can even think about it with weed, like weed isn't as natural and as organic as it was. There's a lot more potency, and people like here in Australia there's a thing called I think it's called PGR buds or whatever, where they spray like these nasty chemicals and people are having adverse side effects from it. And
Jesus.
it's
Jesus.
crazy. So this is supposed to be like this harmless natural plant, and then people are putting all these nasty chemicals. I'm telling you, man, it's what happened to cigarettes. The West, like most people in the Western world, can't even fathom that tobacco used to be a medicine. But it can actually be used as a medicine. But because we've just hijacked it and put all these nasty chemicals and just turned it into poison, now tobacco is associated with what? Cancer, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can tell you
It's
right
crazy.
now, there are no shamans who die from lung cancer, and they smoke more than anyone that I know. So
Yeah, it's crazy.
right? How does that make sense?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. That's the only like resistance I've been going through is with my channel, and like that's like something my mind gets wrapped up in. Like, what am I gonna do? And I'm trying to let go of it. Let it die and then come back to it. But then, yeah, like you said, I'm like, will people forget me? Will the algorithm punish me?
They won't
I
forget.
just can't worry.
That's just the
can't
mind.
worry about.
It's just the mind's chatter.
Yeah,
Giving
because honestly, I
excuses.
want it to be a hobby. I work full time. I don't know what I want to do. I know I like working with people, but I look back in my life and I was the happiest and the most productive when I had even a part-time job like in retail. Like I was happier then. I got more done when I got home because I had the energy of being out there with other people working together. It's like I need to find that and more balance. I need to work on getting in shape, work on music, podcasting, and then I want YouTube to just be a part of what I do. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
And however long it takes me is how long it takes me.
that's why it depends on where you're at, what you want. Because like I totally understand where you're coming from. Like for me, I like YouTube being like my main gig. I love making documentaries and having all the time in the world to do it, because videos take longer and longer. As hard as it may be to believe, videos take more effort and more time as I go on, because then you've got like this pressure of like, oh, now I have to make better videos, right? You can't just make the same shit.
Like that's your channel is very light. You put a lot into production. I'm much more of like the topic is what's important.
Yeah. That's I want to start incorporating like what you're doing. That's how I started this channel. So I want to have like a healthy balance. I think that's when.
What do you mean you started what channel?
Oh no! Like I like having.
Oh yeah.
I used to
you
be
mean
like
your
that.
main channel?
Just videos of just me talking, not production in it at all. And I don't do it just because I want people to like my videos better. I do it because I like it. I genuinely love photography and filmography and editing and color grading and making shit look cool and sound cool. I love that shit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I've been getting into my second channel. I've been getting into video game streaming more on my second channel. Nice. That's just fun because it's chill. It's much more like answer questions, play Counter-Strike. I have like my audience come into the game and we like start a cult. Where it's like we're not gonna shoot anybody. We're questioning the system of this game. We're just gonna explore the world with each other. Like, why do we have to kill each other just because the game told us to? I like video game streaming. It's just fun.
Yeah, I haven't played video games in a while, but I think the last one I played was Resident Evil 2, which scared the bejesus out of me. But I played it as like a fear test. I wanted to face my fears and go through it by myself at night. But at the same time, I had to stop playing because you don't want to play horrific games like that before you undergo a psychedelic experience, because then your mind's gonna have all that shit just swimming around, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want zombies to pop up during an ayahuasca
Yeah.
experience. Fuck that. So,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've been into like Counter-Strike a lot, and it's been chill. I think we got we got everything you need. I don't know if we need to record one for my. I definitely want to post something, but I don't know if
yeah,
I'm
no, we'll
gonna
do it.
record.
We'll take a break now. Like, well, just before we'll finish this up. So, just for those listening, where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
Just CGKid on YouTube.
All right, easy.